Well, ladies, let's all raise a glass.
Do it.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. And welcome, Natalie. Welcome to the Hue Crew.
Hello.
Aw, and into this lovely show home. So we really want to say very, very special thank you to Fox Ridge Homes.
Yes. Amazing.
Yes, details make the difference, definitely. This is a gorgeous show home. And hey, look at it. It's like we have our own living room.
I'm already imagining my new life here. Yes.
Totally.
Well, you and Rana, I know.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Okay, so we're going to get right to you, Natalie. You
Okay,
are
all right.
everything about our city, about Winnipeg. But you know what? We have listeners, on podcasts and stuff. So this could be anywhere. But you really created, I think, something for yourself. So I always thought that it'd be so great to, talk to you about how in this world of social media and marketing and what do I do? How do I get ahead of the rest? Because everybody is doing it.
Yes. So the one thing I always tell people is that the only thing you're an expert in is yourself. Right?
True. Yeah.
No one else can be you.
Right.
So if you're using that as your personal brand, you've got it made, right?
Right.
Because no one else can be Natalie Bell. Just
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
Just saying. A little modesty here.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where people, I think, fail to recognize that, yes, everyone is doing all of these things on Instagram and social media. But when you think about it, they're not doing you because they can't.
That's right.
Right.
Right?
So, so where do we start? So take, for instance, me or Hue and the Hue Crew. I mean, I know a lot about production, but I don't know everything there is to market and to get into social media and be out there. So what are some of the basics, even just to start?
Well, it's really important that you connect with what you're passionate about, right? So I'm passionate about Winnipeg. You know that. You feel that when you watch my Instagram stories or what have you. So same thing for the Hue Crew. It's I connect with all of you because I can see each of you, even though you're a group, right? And it's those strengths that make up the Hue Crew, and that's what draws me to you. So it's connecting with your passions, right? What are the things you love? What are the things you're really good at? What do you love to talk about? What do you love to read about? What do you love to sing about? Those types of things.
Yeah.
And it's taking those topics and just sharing them. That's all I do. I'm just sharing probably a little too much from time to time. But
So then when is it too much?
Well,
Susie.
I think that, it depends on what your personal brand is, right? Like, I think what Natalie is saying is that it just has to be reflective of who you are, kind of thing, right? So when you say, how do you get started? You get started by just getting started. And you can't really care if anyone's listening at that point. You just kind of have to do what you're doing for you, because in the end, that's really who you're going to be doing it for. And that's going to help you attract the brands or the partnerships or the ambassadorships that you're really authentically looking for. So in terms of, how much is too much? Well, I don't think there's such a thing in 2019. I think that you kind of have to decide, what is it that your audience is looking for? What do they come to you for? And how is it that you serve what it is that they seek?
And being transparent, like there's boundaries, right? So there's certain things I share a lot. I share a lot.
Are there things that you regret sharing sometimes?
Never.
Okay, so
Never.
then that answers the
And
question,
that's the
right?
thing, right?
Yeah.
So, but there's things like if I've shared that I've had an argument with my husband and we discussed it and we were
shared
upset.
real life? What?
Right?
Yeah.
But I've also made sure that he knows that I'm sharing it, right?
Big
But
difference.
I also think too that it depends. So each one of us has an individual brand up here as well, and you get to decide what is right for you, which will ultimately be right for your audience. So I think that at the end of the day, it's more like, hey, you might be totally okay with sharing an argument, whereas in my household, that is a no-no.
Right.
Like,
And
he
I-
doesn't even exist online.
And I'm not comfortable sharing my kids online,
Right,
so
yeah.
it's totally different, right? I
Exactly.
talk about parenting and my blog and things like that from an informational
Right.
standpoint. I'm not there to display my child's foils
No,
and
yeah.
mistakes and issues for the pleasure of others. That's not my thing at all.
Right.
Although
Doesn't
I
attract me.
have no shame in my game showing my kitchen when they don't clean it.
Oh, well, that's different. Yeah. Yeah.
Just putting it out there.
Hashtag mom life. Yeah,
Right,
totally.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Just saying.
No,
But like it's people want, it's really crazy, but people crave reality that is not reality.
Yeah.
or
They do,
Yeah.
but I also think that, you know, Natalie and I have been doing this for a long time, and we've seen people come and go.
Come on.
Is that how we're going to say that politely?
That's exactly how we're gonna
How
be
we've
very
seen people
polite.
come and go, and you know, the thing is that when you craft an online persona or a brand or whatever, you know, life changes, circumstances changes, and I think one of the things that has kept the people who are still doing it successful is that vulnerability, and that they are connecting with their audience on a heart and soul level, in that, you know what, my life is not always perfect, and my kids are a gong show sometimes, and I missed school lunch, and I, you know, was late for pickup and drop off. Am I just describing myself? Maybe?
Yeah,
I don't know. But the point is,
Doesn't
sure.
As a bonus
point
mama.
is
Yeah.
that they feel you, and they understand, okay, she lives the same kind of life that I do. Now, some people are more aspirational in terms of that Pinterest curated life, but
Yes.
I can't connect with that, you know?
But I think it's both, right? And what I love about social media right now is somebody who's like not super into it. One is that stories are super amazing. I kind of use stories strictly for those behind the scenes, real life moments. And then my feed is curated, right? So I'm like, I paid for professional imagery and blah, blah, blah. And I need to maintain the cohesivity.
Yeah.
New word,
New word.
of that. But I think that, you know, in your stories is where you get to show that like you're more of a human being, and it's a little bit more real and all of that. You know what I mean?
So one of the things, I spoke at a conference in Kenora on the weekend. Shout out to Women Boss Society, who asked me to come out. And we talked about the stories versus the curated feed. And I said, so what a lot of bloggers and social media people are doing is they're showing that curated feed, so that, you know, 800 pixel by 800 pixels, they're showing that. And then in the stories, they're pulling back to the full view.
That's right.
And showing the apple cores on the kitchen counter,
that's
and
right.
the upturned garbage,
Yes.
and, you know, the spilled milk and the whatever. Because we know that real life is not perfect,
Yeah.
and that, you know, even though that one little piece of life is perfect for 30 seconds,
Yeah.
the big picture is much more chaotic.
Yeah.
But
than
that's a
real.
marketing ploy as well.
Yeah, for sure. for
Right?
sure.
It's hey, let me show you this and let me show you real life, because that's a good marketing thing right now.
Yeah.
Right?
I think
I want to
you're
show
right.
the before and after and
Right.
those types of
But
things.
I think life is marketing. Everything is marketing. You walk out, like as an image consultant, I walk out and I'm a walking billboard for what I do. If I don't look cute and I'm not styled by Poppy,
Okay, shout out,
you know
shout
what I
out.
mean? Then you're not really doing your thing. And when you have a personal brand, it's all the more kind of the rage, where you need to be a walking billboard for what you do, right? Like I rep Hugh wherever I go. Hey, have you watched this? Are you checking in? Have you listened? Have you whatever? Because it's kind of part of my DNA at this point in time. What I love about Natalie, and I am in her DMs all the time, telling her that she is just hashtag goals, and enough said.
Thank you. She does. She does all the time. And I say ditto.
Ditto, yes. But you know what I really love about her is that, one, who you meet online and who you meet in person is the same person.
Yes.
Okay. The other thing is that she does show you multifaceted things. She does show you like her as a mom, her as a wife, her as, you know,
At work.
at work, her like out in. I was getting tired looking at like her at the Mint the other day, and I'm like, but how does Natalie know everybody? And then she's buying things, and she's like all up in it, and she is such a great advocate for so many things that are in our city, and you cannot buy that realness. You cannot buy that how genuine she is. So I just think, you know, when we're talking about this from a social media front, like you can't pay for this in a course. Okay, people,
Yes.
you either have to embody it or don't try.
Yes.
Okay, when's your course coming up?
I know. As soon as that website's ready.
Yeah. So, you know, Natalie, let's, you know, sort of talk about where careers are going and careers are changing,
Yes.
hopefully. I mean, Pig City Lovely, what was the whole kind of idea behind it when it first started?
So here's the thing. You talked about, you know, the adaptability and the evolution. So when I started Pig City Lovely, I was on mat leave. Prior to that, I was on Twitter talking to people all the time. I was just having these great conversations. I'm like following these blogs. I'm like, that's me. I need to be doing that online. I'm doing it offline.
Right.
But now I need to do it online. And so when I was on mat leave, I was like, perfect opportunity. I'm going to start my blog. And it's been 7.5 years of awesomeness. awesomeness.
Yes.
And it's because of that adaptability. So people were with me when I was, a zombie mom, and for a very long time because my son didn't sleep in his bed till he was 6.
Wow.
So anywho,
That's a whole other show.
No parenting.
so through the whole journey, my kids have graduated high school and
Yeah.
they're in college and university, and I got married and all these kind of things. And so my vision for Peg City Lovely was always just to continue doing this till whatever time, whatever age I get to, right? Just continuing to share life and how great it can be. And of course, the death of my mom, that was a big part of my life, and sharing that grief and the loss and the fact that I didn't take care of myself. And I went through some mental illness situations and stuff like that. So all of that has, created this community of people who understand that I'm just me, being me. And
this is interesting because, just to touch on, something that tragic happens in your life and you go through the different, stages of grief and everything like that. I mean, having this community, your community that you have on social media, obviously it did help you. And I mean, these are like, they're close to you, but they're strangers.
yeah.
So
But I don't even feel that way. And it's I don't feel that way because of the fact that there's never been people who've like come at me. Do you know what I mean? It's always been, wow, thank you for sharing that story, because this happened to me as well, and I didn't know how to put it into words, and you just said it perfectly. Something like that, right? Or here are some things that worked for me. I can see that you're hurting, and wow, you're still being strong, and still sharing stories. And when you're not online, that's okay. We miss you, but those types of things.
So wouldn't it be beautiful, like, because now we're kind of looking at social media as the whole kind of bullying and all the garbage that and the negative things that people can say online. Wouldn't it be beautiful if online can be now like the way to say your story, share your story, and bring some sort of
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And there's always going to be that dark underside to anything, because it's just like life. It just reflects real life, right? So I think that we need to be cognizant of the fact that what we share online is our choice, and we can't control how it's received.
Yes.
So once you put it out there, you have to be okay with either ignoring the reactions or receiving the energy from those reactions in a very guarded way, right? So as not to, I guess, harm your vibe or whatever you want to call it, right?
Well, and I mean, I've had people who are like, how could you go to that event? Right?
Oh, wow.
There's been 2 events that I've gone to where I've gotten feedback where like, why would you even support that? Right? And it's like, I thank you for your feedback. Thank you for that. That's the HR in me. Right? So I'm like, thank you for your feedback. And I attended for these reasons, but I appreciate what you're saying. Would you like to discuss some more? I'm in my DMs all the time with people about stuff like that. But it's how you choose to react. So if they came at me and I was like, oh no, blah, 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 I could have went, block, delete. But I don't do that. It's I want to hear your side of the story. Why do you feel that you felt necessary to say something to me about it? And here's my response.
Yeah. I think it opens up to a lot of different perspectives, right? And when you choose to put yourself out there, and I'm using the term influencer super loosely because I hate that word.
But my definition is way better. But go ahead.
Okay, let's caveat. What's your
Well, I mean, I think what an influencer now, the negative connotation that an influencer is that I'm here, or I'm an influencer and I'm here to make sure you buy this wine glass. Right? But for me, my definition, exactly. Right? For me, it's like, this is what's going on in my life, and I happen to be sharing it. And if it changes your view about this particular product and you feel like buying it, then great.
Right.
But it's, what I mean?
So I look at it as, then I'm going to use this, as women of influence, right, that we are. I think that you kind of take on a mantle, and you kind of take on this like mandate and this calling and a responsibility. So when I go online and I choose to type something, right, or I choose to say something, I have to be responsible and accountable to that which I share. Now, if that helps advance somebody, and my followers are really smart, they will not come at me sideways. They won't. like, you need to know to not be on my page if you have something negative to say, and don't approach me with that. But I set the tone for that, right? Now, if you are picking up my vibe and this is helping you and you feel good, more the merrier. My only ask is that you go out into the world and do that for somebody else. That's my only thing. So I think some people are open to a little bit more dialogue, right? They're open with that, especially with a lot of the topics that you do discuss, you know, as far as like race and inclusion and being in a biracial marriage and all these different things, right?
So have any of you ladies been blindsided? Like, comment.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, yes. I'm like, have any of you ladies been blindsided online?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Really?
I think so.
I'm wondering how you haven't. I don't know.
No.
Tracy doesn't check her email regularly.
No,
I know.
No, that
Tracy's
has to
not
go
on
to my
social
email.
media.
Not on social media.
If you saw my DMs or my private messages, you would see people saying things like, "Who do you think you are?"
Yeah.
And "Why do you think that you get to have an opinion on this?" And da da da. And it's just like, you know what? I'm a mom of 3 raising what I hope are individuals who are going to be responsible, caring citizens, and it's my duty to make them aware of these issues so that they know how to navigate the world safely and confidently.
Now,
That's where I come from.
and what I could say, and I know in the audience too, we have had some things, right? So I'd love to hear, you know, some experiences. But I think too, like, I've had face-to-face encounters.
No one's come to my face.
Listen, girl. But you know what? Let me tell you this. I had one face-to-face, very public encounter with an individual at Soca Reggae Fest a couple years ago. And this person poured a drink over me in public.
Oh my word.
But you know what? It was a very interesting and humbling experience in the sense that no. You know why? Because so my man's standing behind me, and he kind of was like, "This between y'all, but like if she oversteps, I'm gonna handle it, right?" And I stood there, and the minute she did it, I put my hands behind my back. Because the thing is that at the end of the day, you know what? 5 minutes before this, somebody came up and said, "I absolutely love everything you're posting. Thank you so much for speaking on this XYZ." I understood that in that moment, I was far greater than this situation. And while this person is swinging at me and acting a fool, right? I saw her in court. So at the end of the day, like, I don't play. So it took one situation for me to show you that if this is how you want to play in the streets, this is how I play in day-to-day life. And I do not respect behavior like that. As another female business owner in this city, I can champion her message now and hope that she has grown. But at the end of the day, as a woman on that day, I did not respect her. But I had to maintain who I was and know who I was in that moment and how I was going to conduct myself. It's very easy behind the computer screen.
Did we talk about Michelle Obama being here last week?
Let's talk about
So
it.
Michelle Obama, right? And she said, you know,
You were there. You were
Right, hit the
there.
microphone.
obviously.
Okay, I was there.
Yes. And she, you know, she talked about, and I was thinking about it in preparation of her event, talking about how when they go low, we go high. And I'm like, that is a hard thing to swallow, right? Because it is so, and I mean, when you've been on the receiving end of vitriol like that, it is so hard to stand there in your power and to know that you are the bigger person, right? But the way she phrased it was so perfect. And again, I always think about how I can explain it to my children, right? And she said, what's the point of striking somebody who is already hurting and doesn't even know how they are conducting themselves? It's like if you looked at that person as a wounded animal, right?
Yeah.
How can you kick a wounded animal when they're already in so much pain? And that kind of changed how I looked at it, and it's just like, yeah, you know, she's right. And even though it is so hard to be this when you want to be here, but she said being down in the gutter with them doesn't make me feel good.
Yeah.
And that was.
I have to say, as Black women, though,
Come on.
we have.
So interpret
There's
that.
a whole, there's a whole nother level that we have to be thinking about subconsciously because of the stereotypes out there about angry Black women. Right? So it's like, okay, I can't get upset because then they're going to stereotype me to be the same person that they see on Jerry Springer. And that is not me, although I feel like it.
And if I don't do anything, then I'm whitewashed and I think I'm better and whatever. So please continue, but I love Natalie. So let me just say that she is the voice of the people.
What did you think?
Oh, she was amazing. The moderator, though?
Let's not talk
Anyway,
about
I know.
we'll leave that alone.
Yeah, I know.
I said it.
Yeah.
I just, someone needed to match her energy.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
all. Someone needed to match her energy. She was bringing so much energy and humor and just,
vibes.
and then pause, awkward. Anywho, but she was fabulous in the fact that she's just a phenomenal woman.
Right.
She speaks, I wasn't looking on the stage and seeing, oh my God, it's Michelle Obama,
Right,
the
right.
former First Lady. I'm like, this woman,
I want to go to college.
I want to go
Right.
sit with her.
Yeah.
I like everyone
So
else here
real.
can leave and we can stay and
Yeah.
dialogue. And
Yeah.
she is a phenomenal woman and she speaks so well.
And that authenticity, right? That really comes
Authenticity,
through.
genuine.
Yes, because I agree with you in that she has, and I guess it's just her essence, but she is who she is.
Yes. Right.
And she knows who she is.
Right.
And
Yeah.
she is not going to settle for anything less.
Yeah.
And you have to meet her where she is
Yeah.
to even, And
Well,
I
and even
love
she
that.
was saying,
love,
I wish
love,
I
love
could stay.
that.
And I don't believe that was just a line.
No,
Yeah.
I
I
think that was
believe that she
genuine.
was just like,
She wanted to.
Yeah.
because it was good conversation.
Janelle, you guys were there too. How was that? No, I didn't. You didn't end up going? I thought you guys went. Did you guys go? And kickback.
We all got strep. We all got strep throat. We all had strep throat. So we were not there.
Well, you know what? I want to ask you, Marley and Francine and Janelle and Elena, welcome. Yes.
Love your
love
pants,
and I love the hair.
She
I love it.
matches,
She
yeah.
matches everything here. We just love it. You know what? Role models for you, besides mom.
Oh.
Would make you think.
Do you want to answer quick?
Okay, Marley, I've never seen you this quiet.
I know it's actually surprising.
You're
Well,
She's like, I'm right
okay,
here.
so obviously when I was, I don't know how old, I wanted to be Tracy.
2.
From when I was 2, maybe my first or second word, my first word was maybe mom, my second word was maybe Tracy, my third word was ballet.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Like when you're younger, you fantasize about, in my case, I fantasized about being a ballerina like Tracy. That's just obvious in my world, as a role model, because, and then you get older, then you look at the physicality and you look at the strength that it takes to be a ballerina. So then you even look at that piece of it, like not just like as a princess fairy tale, notion. So then you look at the strengths, and so I was in ballet. I did all my examinations at a professional level, and did point work, and I teach ballet now. And so that was definitely because of Tracy. Role model besides my mom would be definitely Tracy in that regard.
I didn't force her to say that.
She didn't. She didn't.
I
No.
didn't ask you.
And we're wearing matching outfits. I don't know. So then I guess you look again within the family. That's why it's kind of taking me off guard. My grandmother would be a role model. Tracy's mother would be a role model. And you look at those women who were interned in an internment camp during World War II, even though they were Canadian-born, and look what they accomplished. I think that those two would be definitely up there in my role modeling. So you have to look, in my case, in our case, Japanese Canadian, you look at all the history and all what they had to do while being Canadian citizens. So definitely those would be my role models, my top. Yeah.
What about you, Francine?
Oh, and by the way, I did also name my son after my grandmother and my daughter after Tracy's mother for those reasons.
That's a huge testament.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Well, real quick, my role
Yeah,
model
real quick.
was my grandmother. Yeah, my dad was going to university to get his teaching degree, so my brother and I moved in with my grandparents, my mère and papa, rest in peace. But she taught me how to bake, she taught me how to sew, she taught me how to cook, she taught me how to go to church, and she taught me, I went 4 times a week, believe it or not. It wasn't a lot of time for sewing after that. Praise the Lord. Right? But anyways, she taught me how to be a really good soul. And so for that reason, she's always been and will always be my role model.
Aw, well, that's great. Well, you know what? Natalie, the only reason why I wanted to have you here today is to show us how to take a good selfie.
Oh my God. Oh gosh.
Okay, Natalie.
Okay.
Tips and
Yes,
tricks.
yes, come on.
Okay.
Without a
So
selfie stick now.
first of all, do you have a pop socket or a
Yes.
ring or whatever? Right? Like they're
that-
so
okay.
easy to get. You
Twitters.
must. You
You
must.
must get them?
You
Okay.
must, because I'm telling you, with these phones these days, they're getting wider, they're bigger. You need something to stabilize.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
That's
Okay.
what my husband hates about my camera use. It's
Whatever.
he gets motion sickness from it.
So what
So
what you
he
really want to do for a selfie, and again, it's something you just practice at home. Really. Really, just practice. I'm like, hey, Natalie, what's up, Natalie? Right. And I have big windows in my house, right? So big windows, so you're looking for the natural
You
light.
like natural light? Okay.
Gotta
Yeah.
have the natural light, and you
Yeah.
gotta have the sun, on the other side, guys. And you just
And you
frame.
Frame.
You just frame however
And then
you,
your thumb is right
you know,
there to...
you just
But you can also set a
frame.
timer, Tracy.
You could set the timer. Yes. You
Yeah,
could
don't
do
be
3
beholden to that button.
seconds.
What?
Okay.
Sometimes your arm is too
ready.
short.
Look
I
at
didn't
see.
know that-
3, 2, 1.
I didn't know that existed.
It totally
Right?
exists.
Oh my God.
I'm telling you, it's awesome.
Kind of like-
It's awesome. But there's some
this.
little handy dandy tools like that you can get from Amazon that will help you with your
Is this
selfie
a
game.
gimbal?
This is not a gimbal. This is
Are you
just
selling- are you
a
selling
tripod.
Is there an affiliate link for this on your blog?
I know, it should be. There should be.
there
Okay.
should be.
And this thing is amazing. So most of my pictures I take myself.
Yeah.
I don't have anyone taking pictures for
Now,
me.
when you do your
Look
videos,
at this.
do you
right?
pop this up on there
Boom.
too? When you do your videos, do you pop it up on there too?
Oh yeah.
Perfect.
Right?
Do you got a
just
ring
pop
light?
it on
What
here.
about your ring light?
I have
You
a
got a
ring
ring light?
light.
Yes.
But you don't need a ring light,
No,
right?
you don't. You don't.
You just do this,
Yeah,
like that.
perfect.
Boom. Take your
See? Look at
pictures,
that.
do your video. Your
Set
hands
that
are
timer.
free.
Hands are free.
Right? It can go low. We can go high, just like Michelle said. Okay. So there's so many little simple things. This must have cost me, I think, $14 on Amazon.
So we need the link to put with the episode.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
our viewers and our listeners can definitely
And
get
if
one
you
of those.
recommend a ring light, for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Guys, I want to get a
And
ring.
it fits in your purse. Just saying.
I just need one to
Fits
follow
in
me
your
around
purse.
life.
It's the same size as my phone.
Is that wrong?
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
See, perfect.
There you go.
That can go in a clutch overnight. Yes,
Yeah.
it's
Sorry, babe.
perfect.
All right. Well, you know what? Thank you so much, Natalie.
Yes. Peg City Lovely.
Yes.
Peg City Lovely. All right.
We
one
love
more
Peg City
cheers.
Lovely.
Yes, I have nothing left, but
We'll
all
get you a
right.
refill, girl.
And special thanks to Foxridge Homes.
Yes,
Beautiful.
always.
Details make the difference. And wow, gorgeous.
Absolutely.
Okay.